Hi everyone, my name is Haylie. I worked with Allison at Yoga Joy Saigon for about 2 years when I was living in Vietnam. She reached out to me because she wanted to make this free series of videos for people to help manage their anxiety during this pandemic. So I'm going to be teaching a class about how to draw a mandala. We're just going to be following a really simple format, and I hope that after we do it together you can kind of take the tips home and try and do it yourself as well. Okay, so during this video today I'm going to be drawing the mandala, and my hand might be blocking the drawing while I'm doing it, but I'll pause after every step to show you guys what we've just done. So anyways, this is a practice that really helps me to just zone out, relax, listen to some good music, and just let my mind kind of drift off for a while instead of focusing on, you know, the news or what's going on in the world. So anyways, I hope that you guys really enjoy the practice, and yeah, can't wait to see the finished product. Okay, so yeah, you don't need any fancy drawing supplies. I'm going to be just doing it in a lined notebook because I don't have a sketchbook right now. When I draw mandalas, I definitely prefer to use a felt-tipped pen, but ballpoint pen, pencil, marker, anything that you have is totally fine. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by drawing a swirl in the center of my notebook. Just a small swirl like that. And then from there, I'm going to draw a circle all the way around my swirl. One of my favorite things about drawing mandalas is that you really don't have to worry about things being symmetrical, or if your pen kind of gets messed up during it. The whole thing is so detailed and it has so many different layers that you really can't tell in the end, and it ends up being a beautiful finished product. So from here, I'm going to draw some petals all the way around the circle. Mine are going to be about this size. Feel free to make yours bigger or smaller, and again, don't worry if they end up being slightly different sizes. In the end, it's all going to look really beautiful. Awesome. So when we finish, it should look like that. In the middle of all of my petals, I'm going to draw like a teardrop shape. So I'm going to start from the bottom, come out, and then come back down and color it in black. So it'll look like that, and I'm going to do that in each of the petals. Awesome. So when we finish, it should look like that. All right. Then from here, I'm going to draw another type of petal from the middle of the top of two petals. So I'm going to start in the middle of the top of the first one. I'm going to go up, in, make a point, come back out and down to connect to the second petal. So this one is pointed and looks kind of like a leaf. As you can see, mine is a little bit crooked, but in the end, it's all gonna look really good. So I'm gonna continue making a petal from the middle of the top of each of the petals that we just made, all the way around. So that's what it's going to look like when we finish. Then, after I've drawn all those petals, I'm going to go around and trace the inside to make a little border. So that's going to look a little something like that. I'm going to go through and do that to all of the petals. When I draw, I kind of like to rotate my notebook around. Kind of helps just with the wrist flexibility. You don't have to put your hand at a weird angle. Awesome. When we finish, it'll look like that. Now, on the inside of the borders that we just made, I'm going to draw a bunch of tiny little lines going all the way around the border. So that's going to look a little bit like that. I'm going to go through and do that to all of my pointed petals. And that's going to end up looking like that. Now, inside of each of my pointed petals, I'm going to draw a ribbon shape. So starting at the bottom, I'm going to come up, make a loop, and then come back down to make a shape that looks like that. And I'm going to do that inside all of our pointed petals. Awesome. Then I'm going to draw a little dot underneath all of the loops just to add in an extra detail. So that's going to be, oops, this part right here. And that will look like that. So from here, I'm going to go about half a centimeter down from our pointed petal, and I'm going to draw an arch that connects the two pointed petals like that. I'm going to draw an arch all the way around, adding on a new layer of petals. Awesome. From here, I'm going to draw a swirl in the middle of all of these new arches. My swirl is going to be going towards the right, but you are welcome to make yours go in the opposite directions. So these are our swirls right here. I'm going to draw a swirl inside each of these new petals. So in the end, it will look like that. Then from here, I'm going to draw like little, kind of like little dots all the way around the edges of the petals, looking like that. One of my favorite parts about drawing a mandala is definitely these repetitive movements, because you can really just let your mind wander, not think about anything. It's a great way to let your mind relax. So then we're going to have something that looks like that. Alright, from here I'm going to make another pointed petal. So starting from the middle of one of our arches, going up, in, point, out, down to the middle of the second arch, we're going to make some more pointed petals. Again, don't worry if they end up being a little bit asymmetrical. In the end, it won't be noticeable at all. My first petal there was definitely a little bit small. And we're going to end up with something a little bit like that. Let's again trace the inside of our petals to make a little border that we can add some more details to. That's going to look a little bit like that. On the inside of these borders, I'm just going to draw some dots evenly spaced going down the border like that, all the way around. Awesome. Then on the inside of these petals, I'm going to draw another type of swirl, but it's going to be kind of like a sprout that has the swirl coming out on either direction like that. And I'm going to do one of those inside each of my petals. Awesome. From here, I'm going to again draw an arch just below the points of each of my pointed petals to make another petal. As you can see, I kind of like to follow this simple pattern of pointed petal, arched petal, pointed petal, arched petal. It makes it really easy to connect each layer of the mandala. And I think it ends up looking really cool at the end. So we're gonna look a little bit like that. I'm gonna draw another border inside of these arches. So just tracing the arch at the top, giving us space to add more details. To look like that. Inside each of these arched petals, I'm going to draw a bunch of tiny circles that are all right next to each other. So it's going to look like that. I'm going to do that inside each of these arches. Teeny tiny circles right next to each other. This is another one of those repetitive movements that really allows our mind to just drift off. Look like that. Awesome. Now on the tops of all of these arches, I'm going to draw some more of those small little dots going all the way around our circle. Looking like that, and continuing all the way around. Awesome, it's really starting to come together. So now from here, I'm once again gonna make a pointed petal from the center of each arch, connecting to the center of the next arch. And we're going to start to look like that. Once again, tracing the inside and making a little border. To look like that. Inside each of these petals, I'm going to draw another teardrop shape, and it's okay if that teardrop shape goes on top of one of your little dots. And then I'm going to draw a border around that teardrop shape, like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around. Look like that. And then inside of these borders, I think I'm going to draw a bunch of little lines again, going all the way around the border, just like, oops, I cut it off, this one. And repeat that in the borders of all of our pointed petals. Alright, from here, once again, drawing another arch just below the point. Coming to look like that. And inside of each of these, I'm going to repeat that double swirl that looks kind of like a little sprout. Looking a little bit like that. And then to add on some more details, I'm gonna draw some little dots inside with the swirl. So it's just gonna be little teeny dots. You can just kind of press your pen down and lift it back up. That's where we're at now. Then I'm just going to trace the outside of those arches to make them a little bit darker, a little bit thicker, like this one here. Go all the way around just to add a little bit more depth. Looking a little bit like that. And then for the last detail, I'm going to draw a teardrop on the point of each of my pointed petals, just to add one last little fun element. Go ahead and color in that teardrop. So in the end, our mandala is going to look a little something like that. Everyone's will be a little bit different. Maybe your petals are bigger or smaller. But I just wanted to show you guys a really simple way to make a mandala, something that you can repeat at home and play around with different shapes, different patterns, and see what you come up with. I know this is a practice that definitely brings me a lot of peace and helps me to just relax and zone out. One of the best things we can be doing for our bodies and our minds right now is to relax. It's so important for our immune systems to just let them reset. Don't get too focused on the virus, even though it's a really scary time. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I definitely can't wait to see the finished products. Bye.